So a simple phone call can really change how the course of your day goes. It can make it so it can make you go from having a very relaxing, calm day to changing it to something that is extremely stressful. I was at home doing my normal thing, just relaxing on my computer, browsing the web, playing games, when all of a sudden I hear a cry from the room across from mine. I immediately shot out of my desk and ran over to see what was wrong. My mother was on the phone, crying and in tears. She was all I could make out from what she was saying through because she was just all freaking out. I remember hearing her say what exactly happened to him, what caused him to crash, where hospital is he at. I immediately began to think about the possibilities of who she was talking about. At first, I thought, is it my father? But I dismissed that right away. I thought, is it one of my grandparents? What happened? But she came over to me before I could finish thinking and grabbed me by my shoulders and hugged me tight. She's like, your brother, he has just got in an accident. He's crashed his motorcycle and is on his way to the hospital right now. I immediately broke my thought. I immediately stopped and just continued to think. The first thought that popped in my mind is, again? But it's nothing simple. It's not simply falling off your bike in the street. Nothing really simple. It's something actually severe. Something severe enough to send him to the hospital. I immediately stopped thinking and said, we really need to go now. And she's like, of course. So we got in the car and we drove. The hospital was a little over an hour away. So it's just very stressful. The whole entire drive there, I'm just still thinking about what has happened and how severe his condition is. We didn't know too much of the details about it because my father just got a little bit of information from my brother's friends who were at the time with him at the time of his crash. When we got to the hospital, we finally met up with him and my brother's friends. We asked them what exactly had happened. They explained while they were riding on the freeway that my brother hit a couple potholes. The first pothole he hit made him somewhat lose stability, but he was fine from it. But before he could fully regain control, he hit a second one, which was enough to send him off his bike and sliding across the freeway. Once he had stopped, they took him across a couple lanes of traffic into the emergency lane, where they waited for the ambulance to come and get him. Now that he was in the hospital, they had him in intensive care as they were working on him. They said that his right arm was severely injured, along with his legs and his other arm, because the leather he was wearing mainly covered his chest because it was just a vest. The other parts of his clothing were kind of torn up from sliding across the freeway around 60 miles an hour at a crash. We sat there waiting for a while, as they said his condition was pretty okay, and now we just had to wait for him to get moved to where his room would be. So we sat there, and yet I'm still just worrying about it. Even though I knew that his current condition was fine, I still worried about his future, because I wondered how much damage was exactly done to him. Would he still be able to work in his line of work with the injuries he's received? Would his arm be able to function fine still? Would he be able to complete his work, the manual tasks he had to do still? Just all these thoughts were going through my head. I'm just worrying. But they finally said that he's been moved and that we were finally able to go to his room. So we began to go there. As I walked in the hallway, passing door by door, still the thoughts just kept going through my mind. I could not calm myself. I was shaking, worried still. I think I was possibly one of the more upset ones, but the one, of course, who was most upset was my mother. We finally arrived to his room. We walk in. The nurses are still there finishing his bandages. His arms completely bandaged up along with his legs. Thankfully, though, they told us he had no broken bones. The main damage he had done to him was to his skin from the road rash he received. He had much asphalt still in his arms around the wounds, and his arm had to have received over 100 stitches along his elbow, and his shoulder had received numerous stitches as well. His elbow, basically, the skin from here to here basically came off right here, and they had to put his arm back together right there, and tons of stitches. After some time, though, he had to go through many days, not many days, more like many months of complete rehabilitation to regain the complete movement of his arm. Still, right now, he doesn't have complete movement, but of course, once he says he's fully recovered, the first thing he wants to do is rebuild his bike so he's able to continue riding. I think he's an idiot, but it's something he loves, so I have to support him on it. Yeah, so that was one of the worst days for me.